my kids had to go through this. You know, like, I'm okay. But when I think about my kids having to go through this, that must have been, like, really hard for them. But, welcome you back to my channel, and I want to thank my subscribers, the people who are supporting me. This is a start, but I'm so glad that you have supported me. I'm very grateful of that. And today I'm going to do a story time. Of course, I have my seafood broil, which I don't really need to like get a close-up of it because we know what's in seafood broil. We got your shrimp. Where's my shrimp? We got your shrimp, got your sausage, which I'm gonna have a bite now because I'm starving, y'all. I got my eggs over here. I got my sauce. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right there. My sauce, butter sauce, with some spices and some garlic. I got my lemons over here. Lemons. Crab legs. What is a boil without the crab legs? And then I got my corn. So, on my mussels. I like the black mussels. I don't like the green mussels. And then can't forget these potatoes. So yeah, I got pretty much a little bit of everything. So, let me eat this. I'm gonna try to get through my story in the beginning because I'm starving. So I'm probably gonna be doing a little bit more eating in the beginning of this than talking. But the story, as you see in the title, is about when I became homeless in Atlanta. Yeah. So, and this is a story which probably is good for anybody thinking about moving to Atlanta or never been to Atlanta and want to relocate there, you know. So, it's my soul. So this will be an interesting story. I'm going to tell you how I became homeless after moving to Atlanta. That's good. I don't have a lot of lemons. I asked them for extra lemons, but that didn't happen. But whatever. So, okay. I'm just going to get right into it. So, it started out. Now, let me just say this first so you can understand. I never had lived in Atlanta, but I've lived a lot of places because I was in the military. So when I decided to move to Atlanta, I was in Oklahoma. And my nose is itching. Oklahoma. I was in Oklahoma. And we was having a lot of tornadoes at that time. And somebody who was close to me was like, come to Atlanta. You know, you will like Atlanta. And they had been saying this for a while. So I finally was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to move to Atlanta. And I'm the type of person, I moved so many places before, which it actually started when I was in service, but even after service, I could move anywhere. and be fine. So I wasn't really worried about it. I was like, that was good. I was like, how hard could it be? So once I did decide that I'm going to relocate to Atlanta, I started doing my research. And I thought it would be a good idea. Oh, I thought it would be a good idea because I'm a writer. I love to write. So I was like, I can pursue, because I've done, you know, play. It was called Love 'Em and Leave 'Em. This was a while ago when I was in Cleveland, Ohio. And, you know, I really enjoyed doing that. So I'm thinking I'm going to move to Atlanta where all of that is booming and I'm going to be fine. So fast forward, once I made that decision and started doing my research, I started, first things first, looking for a place to live. So I'm going to eat this corn. Hold on. So I'm looking for a place to live. And I found a place a little too fast, it seemed. Because I probably was looking for a place for like 2 weeks. You know, online. Somewhere where they wouldn't be wanting your birth certificate, your social security, you know, all that stuff that they be wanting. Had some sweet tea mixed with lemonade, so I don't have a problem. That's good. So I found the place that I wanted. Well, you know what? I take that back. Because before I was actually going to move there, I was kind of like considering it, and I was looking for places. And it was kind of hard. But once I had my mind made up that I was moving there, I had found a few places. And I had a friend that, I think somebody's finna start cutting grass, one of my neighbors. I hope not, because I just heard something. So I'm gonna apologize for that, and I'm still going to continue. Hopefully it's not too bad. But I just heard them start up something. It's too late for all that. But, so yeah, I had a friend, the friend that was encouraging me to move down there, and was like, I was gonna love it. I had them. That right there was so messy good. But they went and looked at the places for me. So he wasn't, you know, having no luck with a few places. But then there was the one place, and they was like, oh, you know, they was like, this place is nice. So they went over there for me and looked at the place once I had talked to the landlord to see what was the requirements and, you know, if I went in or not. And she was like, it was a lady landlord. So she was like, yeah, your friend can come by and we can do a video chat. So that's what we did. And there were some things that needed worked on in that house, because I'm real picky about like broke, like, you know, just I have everything in my house has to be fixed, not half, you know, done and stuff. Like, I don't like unfinished basements, and I just real, I'm real weird like that. I don't like unkept stuff or whatever, for a better choice of words. So overall, the house was nice. It was nice, but there were some things about the house that still needed work on, like the bathrooms and stuff. And she said, "Oh, that'll be fixed before you get here, blah blah blah." So I'm like, okay. She's like, "When you come in?" I said, "I'm coming in this date." So everything went smooth. Put the down payment, first month rent. Hold on, y'all. So I put the stuff down on the apartment. I mean, on the house. It was a house. It was a little bit more than I was expecting to or wanting to pay. But it was okay because I knew you moving to Atlanta, girl. You heard, you know, how things is out there. So being the type of person that I am, I'm not worried about it. I'm like, I can figure this out. I always figure it out. So, fast forward. But, oh, before I get to when we actually moved to Atlanta, let's just say we started having all these tornadoes coming back to back to back. And then I was just like, we got to get out of here. And a couple days before we actually left out of there, we almost got a tornado came back, close to hitting us. It like touched down across the highway, and I lived to where you could see the highway. So it like touched down. I should have put my apron on, but let me see. I didn't get anything on there. Oh, you know what? Let me pull my hair back because I don't want to get, so I can get more comfortable, for a better lack of words. There, better. So anyways, back to the story. So the tornado almost touched down by the house, so I knew, like, yeah, I need to get out of here. So we ended up leaving. We left one morning. It took us 2 days to get there. We got there. We got to the house. The house is, you know, nice looking, but those things that she said were going to be fixed was not fixed. So now I'm moved out of my other house, big old U-Haul, and I had the keys and everything because the friend who convinced me to stay there to move there got the keys for us. You know, I appreciated that. And we moved in. You can't eat seafood pretty. It's gonna be impossible. So, like I said, we went ahead and moved in. And the house was, like I said, most people wouldn't have maybe had an issue with, you know, the things that I had an issue with, but I don't like half-did houses. So it was basically, let me explain, it was the borders around the bathroom were not there. So you could see the back of the wall. I didn't like that. And it was in both of the bathrooms. Like, I had a bathroom in my room. And she kept saying, oh, we're going to fix that. He haven't got to it yet. He's going to come by and do it. And do the floors and blah, blah, blah. So I'm not saying nothing. Because I'm being patient. And anyways, it never happened. And, you know, as we live in there, I'm starting to see other stuff that's irritating. Like, the first night we got there, the AC wasn't working right. So we in there hot as, I want to cuss, but we hot. We sweating. So I had to go buy fans and stuff just so we could survive, because, you know, it's hot. And then kept calling her that first night, like, something's wrong with heat. I was saying my husband, blah, blah. And they came the next day or whatever, and they played with it. And then they said it's fixed, but it wasn't, long story short, it wasn't fixed. So they ended up having to send somebody out to fix it or whatever. But I noticed, like, even though he came out and tried to fix it, it still was never getting to where it was, like, what I was used to. Because I had, like, central air in my house that I moved from. I don't like to be hot. I love my AC. I don't like to be cold either, but because I'm anemic. But that wasn't working for me. It was too hot. So basically, long story short, with this part of the story is, it was just getting to be so many problems with this house that I was, like, over it. And I was irritated. And then on top of all of that, I ended up finding out why the borders was missing around the bathrooms. Because my daughter started getting sick. And I was taking her to the ER. And they don't know what's wrong with her. Until somebody, you know, once I was, you know, after so long, I was like, somebody was like, you just moved in that house and she's starting to get sick like that. That sounds like mold, because that happened to me and blah, blah, blah. So they're like, you should check that house for mold. So I'm like, not really thinking, nah, you know, this is a nice house. I don't think it has mold, because I've never had an experience with mold until then. Because I tested the house. Oh, that hit me in the face.
Oh, this is horrible.
Oh, man, I'm having fun. So, the house ended up, oh my God, that's so gross. Throw that away. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot it. But, so, the house ended up having mold. And I was just like, okay, now what? So I'm telling her. And then now at this point, I'm not trusting her, because, you know, they'll say one thing and then they don't do it. So when I tell her what I found, she's like, there's nothing wrong with that house. Blah, 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 blah. And I found out, I don't know when, sometime in between all this, or that the person who used to live there said that the pipes had burst in the wall. And they don't feel like they never properly fixed it. So with that being said, I'm having a bad situation at this house. I stopped paying her. And I had stopped paying her because I'm like, I don't feel comfortable in this house. And I was already like a month, something, into not paying her. And I had decided I'm not going to pay her. I'm just going to find some place to stay. And then she can just take me to court because she's not going to face this mold. I don't like this house. And then it was like, I never really thought about the fact that, put it like this, I'm scared of snakes. I'm terrified of snakes. And Atlanta got snakes. Georgia got snakes. So my daughter had seen one in the backyard. So I knew I was never going to go in the backyard because I don't want nothing to do with a snake. I don't want to see a snake. Nothing. Didn't think about that when I moved to Atlanta, but I definitely was going to see snakes. So anyways, I ended up finding an apartment. Apartment costs more than the house. But I'm so ready to get out this house that I want to figure that out too. So I moved to an apartment. And this apartment was $1,500 a month. Places that I've lived, I've never paid $1,500 for an apartment. Never. But that's how bad that I wanted to get out this house. And I just didn't feel comfortable giving her my money with the way that house was, the conditions of the house. So we ended up going to court. And by that time I had already found another place, so it was what it was. So now I'm in an apartment. But in the midst of the apartment, I had found a job there working as a supervisor for a security company. I was a supervisor. And I really didn't feel comfortable working that job. I was doing it because it was a job, but I was still looking, you know, for a job. And I was doing like side jobs, DoorDash, Grubhub, Lyft, Uber, whatever I could, and working a security job to pay my bills. And it was hard because, you know, all that moving and trying to figure stuff out and maintain my bills. It was really, really stressful. It was really hard, but I was doing it. But that job that I had, the security job, I noticed like they would have you at work all the time. Like I started feeling like I lived there, which I don't know about nobody else, but I can't feel like I'm living at work. But I said I'm gonna do this until I find something else. So I'm always working. And the job consisted of me. Now, mind you, I'm just moved there. not too long, a few months back. So, you know, I don't know my way around Atlanta. I was learning my way around, but I'm driving around, you know, not just around Atlanta, but to different cities around Atlanta, because the company had different stores in different locations, and I would have to go check on my security guards every day at these stores, you know, to see how they were doing and if they were working and stuff like that. And if there was an issue, or if one of them couldn't work, I would have to like cover for them until I found them a replacement. The job was cool, but then they put me on this night shift. So I'm getting off work at 2 in the morning, driving the hour home, because every place that I try to find work at was always far away from where I lived. And the area I lived in was Douglasville. So I used to drive around all day for them, then get off work at like 1 in the morning, and then I have to go into the building and check out. Now, the building wasn't in a nice area. It wasn't in a super bad area, but it wasn't in a nice area. And I'm pulling up with the company car at night, 1 in the morning, and going into the building, and they didn't give us keys. The key was like on the door, and we had a code, so we would have to push in the code to get the key to get inside the building. Every night that I had to do that, I was scared. So I would be like on the phone with one of my friends or something while I do that, because it would be like, I don't want to say they was homeless or whatever, but it would be like random people like on a bike driving through the parking lot or walking through the parking lot, and these were guys and stuff. So I just always felt uncomfortable. So that part was just so bad for me. And then having to drive an hour back home and getting home like 2:30 in the morning. One day, and this is when I knew like I couldn't go on with that job, because I almost fell asleep because I was so tired this day, because they were working me to death. So I was so tired this day because I was working 12-hour shifts too. But this day I had worked a 14-hour shift or something. And by the time I got off, I wasn't used to working those hours. So I called my supervisor, the guy that's over me, and nobody answered. So I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to sleep in this car, because I was just that tired, and I need to go home. But I said I couldn't get a hold of nobody, so I ended up driving. And I had to pull over and kind of like take a little nap. Because like what I used to do when I was that tired is get some like those 5-hour energy drinks or something, but I have high blood pressure now. Well, it's maintained now, so I'm fine, but I just don't do certain things anymore to keep it maintained. So I don't mess with energy drinks or those 5-hour like shots that wake you up. So I was so tired that night that I was just like, I'm gonna have to go get something. So I went to the gas station, because I was like, I can't just sit in my car and just sleep. I want to go home. So I went and found like a little energy thing for that night. Took it. and made it home. And I was just thinking to myself, like, I can't do this. So I was already contemplating on quitting. But I was trying to find another job before I do that. But I noticed the next day when I went to work, I still felt like I hadn't got no sleep. I was like exhausted. So I'm thinking they just like overworking me and I need a couple of days off. So I had went to them and was like, I need to work these, I need these days off. Like I need 3 days off in a row so that I can, do what I need to do for myself. Since I'm working all these hours for y'all, I don't need to have 1 day off and, this and that. So I went and talked to them about it. Long story short, they agreed to it that day. And I still, like, I wasn't feeling, I noticed I kept getting worse. Like, I wasn't feeling good. And I'm thinking I'm just tired. But I'm really not feeling good. So I forced myself to come in this next day. Even though I wasn't feeling good. And then my manager was like, I guess he was mad because they had granted me the schedule that I wanted. And he was like, you're going to have to work Saturdays. We need you to work Saturdays. And then I was just like, I can't do it. And I already was like, not feeling good. You listen to your body. When your body tells you to sit down, you need to sit down. So I was like, I can't do it. So because I felt so bad that day, I was like, I can't tell him I need to go home because they're going to fire me. But I didn't feel good. Like, I got worse as I went to work. And when he told me I had to come in Saturday, I was just so frustrated. I was just like, I quit. Excuse me. I was like, I quit. And I put my stuff up and I walked out of there. So then I go home and I sleep. And then I'm like, I can just go do the side jobs to make up what I was making for them, hourly. I was like, I can just do that and I'll be fine until I figure out something else. When I say, and like, here's the weird part, because COVID was not here yet. Nobody even knew what COVID-19, the coronavirus, COVID-19 was. But when I say I had all the symptoms, and I've had all the symptoms twice, but it was in the early parts before it was a thing. So I went, to my doctor, and I'm like, I don't know, I don't feel good. I just feel really sluggish. I'm having trouble breathing. I feel like something's sitting on my chest. Like, I had all the symptoms. And I'm trying my best to still work. But my body won't let me work. So I'm at the house. At the apartment. And I loved the apartment. It was nice. It had pool air. It was nice. But rent comes due a week into me not feeling good. And I'm not thinking nothing of it because, through the years, I've been late on my rent. No big deal. I paid the late fee. No big deal. Or so I thought. So I'm resting because it was like, they like held on to me for 2-3 weeks. Whatever this was. And I went to the doctor twice in between me not feeling good. I thought, I'm not going to even speak what I thought. But I thought it was like something serious. that could take me out of here. That's what I kept thinking, because I was like, something is definitely wrong with me. But I kept trying to force myself to be better. But every time I try to force myself to be better, it just kept knocking me down. So I couldn't work really to, you know, make my money that I needed to make for my rent. So basically, I called my landlord and tell him, hey, I'm not feeling well. I haven't been feeling well. But I'll probably be, I'm feeling a little better. So I'll be back on my feet in a few days. And then I'll pay the rent. Because I'm probably going to be late with rent. And by this point, I was already like 3 or 4 days late. The rent due on the 1st. And it was probably like the 4th or the 5th. And she was like, oh, they already filed. They filed with the courthouse on the 5th day or the 4th day. It was the 4th or the 5th day. It was basically the day I called her. She was like, they had already filed either the day before or the day of. I don't know exactly. But she was basically saying that it was too late to pay it. But I would have to respond to a court letter or something that was going to come to the house. Come to the apartment. So at this point, I'm still sick. Still trying to get better. I'm not really thinking nothing of it because I'm like, they can't just evict you. That's illegal. They're gonna basically, you know, have to give me a court date or whatever. And I was figuring like, I'll have it taken care of by then. So no big deal. So I say another couple of days had went by. And then I got the letter thing. And I went to the court to respond. Because it said I give you like, I think it was 7 days to respond or whatever. Now, I'm not counting the weekend. So I kept focusing on my health and thinking I had time to go respond to this letter. And I didn't because they count the weekend. And the day I went, it seemed like through this whole thing, I was always a day late and $1 short. But, so basically when I went to court, they was like, oh, they already granted them to, you know, put you out. So it's a wrap, basically. So I'm like, okay, this is not happening. I'm like, this is not happening. And I still didn't realize at that moment the seriousness because I felt like I had time. So I'll go home and then I start getting back on my feet and start working and stuff. And then I called and talked to them and they was like, no, we're not taking your payment now. It's too late. The eviction has been granted or whatever. And she told me when she told me like, you could be put out as early as next week, I was like, she is lying. Nothing don't happen that fast. So I didn't believe her. So I kept working, and then like one day in between that, I was like, you know what? What if she is serious? I was like, let me go get some help because I'm a veteran. Let me move this. Sorry, y'all. So I'm a veteran, so I'm like, let me go get some help from the veteran service or something. Maybe they can call and talk to them. Because I've always been able in my life. I'm going to say always. I'm going to say I've learned through my struggles in the past how to figure stuff out. So I wasn't really worried about it because I'm like, everything can be figured out. So, military people was like, we'll take care of it, but you have to, you know, wait or whatever. So they ended up calling them. Once I took care of everything, because I'm not going to go into all that happened with that. That's another story. And shame on them. Shame on Atlanta VA people. But they called and was like, you know, we'll help take care of it. And they told them no. I said, it's too late now. Which doesn't make sense to me, because it's like, if I have the money, why are you still trying to kick me out? They didn't want to take the money. They were basically like, it's a wrap. So, I don't know if I should say this part because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But I think it's okay because I'm not saying names. And I don't think this would even matter at this point because it's been a long time. But basically, the office manager came and knocked on my door one day, a few days later, and was like, please don't let them put your stuff out on the street, because I heard that they're coming on Friday. And this was like Monday or Tuesday. And I'm thinking, like, this can't be real. Like, I didn't believe her, but something in my gut told me to believe her. So Thursday night, I started packing up all my stuff. I went and got a U-Haul. And I said, I'm going to pack all this stuff up into this U-Haul and just go ahead and put it in a storage just in case, even if they come or not. Because it was just getting to be too much stress. And sure enough, we had stopped packing and went to sleep that night. I said we just finished in the morning. And I'm so glad that we did pack our stuff up, because sure enough, that morning while we was packing up the truck, we saw a sheriff, another truck, and a few cars of people pull through the gate of those apartments and start pulling up to people's apartments and sitting their stuff out on the curb in the apartments. And I knew we was next. I had never seen nothing like this. Like, I guess this is how they do things in Atlanta, but I had never seen nothing like this in all the places that I've lived. And it was so sad. I was about to cry because there was a lady who lived across the way from me, and I guess she was at work, and my daughter went to school with her son, so she kind of knew him, and they had like a baby there. I watched them put her stuff on the street, and then I watched her pull up because she wasn't home. And she's like begging and pleading, and like, what is she supposed to do? You know, it was so sad. And so then they came to my place, and they saw that I had a U-Haul, and I was like the only one that had a U-Haul. So I was thinking to myself, like, oh my God, we gotta hurry up and get our stuff into a storage so that I can let somebody else use the U-Haul, because I just was like, oh my God, these people, I'm thinking about them, you know, and in the midst of what the heck I'm gonna do. So when they came to me and was like, so how long you think you're gonna be? I said, please don't throw my stuff out. I said, I just got the kitchen to do, and then I'll be gone. So they was like, okay, you know, we got plenty of other people, and then we'll be back. So they went downstairs to the apartment, and that guy and his sister lived in there. I didn't know these people, but I always saw them and I always spoke to them. They got kicked out. They didn't have a U-Haul, so I told them, well, if you don't get a U-Haul, once I find the storage or whatever, you can use this one. But somebody ended up bringing them one. So the people came back once they finished putting everybody out. They put out at least 11 people, including myself. So they went to, you know, help me, because the sheriff was like, and he was real nice about it. You know, they weren't disrespectful. So those guys who had the trash bags, because they went to everybody else with trash bags. It's not funny, but it's just funny now thinking back, like they really did this to people. They came with the trash bags and was just throwing people's stuff in bags and putting it on the curb. And it was like, if they didn't know what they were going to do with their stuff, they had 24 hours to get it off the curb. Or they were just going to dump it in the dumpsters in the apartment complex. And then at that point, anybody could just take it. So yeah. So that's basically what happened. They ended up helping us get the little bit of stuff that was left. And I'm so glad I didn't let them pack my stuff, because they threw all my kitchen stuff, you know, in the bags and stuff. What was left, I really didn't care about. So, excuse me, it wasn't too big of a deal. But it was crazy. So, yeah. So, I'm getting full. I'm actually been full. But it was good. So, you know, the money that I was going to give them that they didn't take, I went and got an apartment. I mean, a hotel. I went and got a hotel for me and my kids to stay in. And while I tried to figure out what I was going to do, and I was just like, okay, I only got, you know, so much money. And I went to the military services to see if they could help. And they were just like, well, it's a waiting list, so you have to get in line. And, you know, we got so many evangelists that need help, so we'll check back with you next month. And I'm like, next month? I'm homeless now, you know. And he was like, well, you could go to a shelter, but your son's going to have to be somewhere else. And I was not finna have my son away from us. So we just got the hotel. And I just kept, like, calling and trying to figure out what I could do or where I could stay. Because I'm like, I'm going to run out of money. And even in the meanwhile, while I was doing this, it's like, I was, like, I would leave them at the hotel. Because my kids aren't babies, you know, they were older. So I would leave them at the hotel or drop them off at school. They were in, like, 11th and 12th grade. While I try to go figure out stuff. But it was kind of, let me tell you, people in those type of situations, I mean, it can be done. Because I don't want to discourage nobody if you are ever in a situation like that. But it's hard to try to maintain income and try to figure out your situation, like doing research and going to appointments or trying to find another place. You know, it's like, that's time consuming in itself. Looking for a place is a job. Trying to look for help is a job. And then on top of that, me trying to work to keep us in the hotel. In the hotel, you know, I ended up finding a hotel for $80 a day. But still, $80 a day, back to back every day like that, was eating my money up. So I had, like, gotten down to maybe, like, I don't know, $400 left or something like that. And I was just like, okay, this is not good, because I didn't never want to just be broke. So I was like, okay, I'm getting to the point where I'm not going to be able to feed us. Because, you know, you got to think I got to feed us every day. They need stuff, gas money, and then, you know, paying the place. I'm sorry. So, anyways, I got to the point where I didn't want to run out of money. So I had made a conscious decision to not use my last little bit of money that I had and just check out the hotel for a few days. Because I told the kids, I was like, I'm sorry, but I said, I'm running out of money. because I was just thinking, like, what if I run out of money and then I don't have gas? You know, that's going to be really bad. So, it's weird because, you know, I didn't think that I would still get choked up about it because we're good now. But just thinking about it, like, I'm getting a little bit choked up. And that's weird. But because that was a lot, and I thank God that I made it through that. But so we basically was you know, we packed our stuff up and we went to the car, and our stuff was in storage, and you know, we put together as much stuff that we could in suitcases. And at the time I had 2 cars. I had my work car, and then I had my car that I had came down there with, because when I say work car, I mean Lyft had a program where you could rent a vehicle. And I know y'all are probably saying, oh, well, why would you rent a vehicle? You know, that's more money that you have. This was my situation. The car that I had gotten at the time had a, what do you call that, where they can shut your car off if you don't make your payments or whatever. Whatever that thing is, I didn't know that when I purchased that vehicle from those people, I did not, in Oklahoma, I did not know that it had that on there. They say they told me, but I remember asking specifically, like, I don't want no car if it has, you know, that box on it. and he was like, oh, no. But the loan company said, no, we put those boxes on those cars. Because I had purchased that car from like a buy here, pay here place. So anyways, my car payments, if behind, they could shut me off if they don't feel like working with me anymore. So that was the reason why I had kept the other car, because I didn't want to be in a situation where this car's off. Now we really, I don't want to cuss, but you know what I'm saying, we really messed up. So I kept the Lyft car as our transportation. And in Atlanta, they only give you so many miles with personal miles with the Lyft card. Anybody who do Lyft and use that program knows what I'm talking about. They give you so many miles with that vehicle. And then they give you working miles. So I would always try to use my working miles and always have my Lyft thing turned on, you know, so that I could get around or whatever. So, I mean, just talking about it, like, this was just basically a hard time. And just seeing and realizing how Atlanta has so many people and so many people struggling and so many homeless people there, I was just like, I gotta get the heck out of here. After we became homeless, I was like, I don't want nothing. It was just, the whole experience was so bad for me, because I had never had that type of experience where it's just all bad and I'm running out of options type situation. It was scary. And like I said, we were in the car, and our first, every time I talk about this car, I get choked up, but I'm gonna get it out. So the first night that we was in the car, you know, let me tell y'all why I'm getting choked up, because I'm thinking about how we had to literally, we were only, let me just say that, we was only in the car for 2 days, but we were homeless, but we had actually been in the car for 2 days. And that first night that we was in the car, I'm trying to get this out, because I had no idea that this was telling this story was gonna choke me up. Like, I've put this behind me. I thought I was ready to talk about it. I am ready to talk about it. It's just when you think about certain things that you've been through, you know. And that's why when I see other people going through That's why when I see other people going through, you know, certain simulations, I try to help, or I get emotional about it because I've been there. And by the grace of God, you know, I made it through. And I've actually been through like a lot of that's another story. But okay, so anyways, the first night that we was in the car, wow. I'm sorry. The first night that we were in the car, we I had like packed, you know, toothpaste and, you know, soap and stuff, so that we would go into the hotel. Like, I parked at a nice hotel, and we went into the bathrooms in the hotel, and I think you know why I'm crying is because my kids had to go through this. You know, like, I'm okay, but when I think about my kids having to go through this, that must have been like really hard for them. But like I said, I made sure that we were good, and but it's just, it probably was a rough thing for them too. But we went, you know, in the bathrooms, and, you know, we went late so nobody would be in there, and we washed up and got cleaned up, and, you know, got dressed or whatever, and we went to the car. And we actually, the first night, we went and parked at the apartments that I used to stay in, because we just kind of felt safer there because it was familiar to us. So we went and parked there, and I just left, you know, we parked both of the cars. So my son, he, you know, he was driving at the time. At the time, he luckily had his license, well, his permit. You know, he didn't have, did he have his permit? No, my son he didn't get his, he didn't get official till we moved to Ohio, but he already knew how to drive. I had already taught him how to drive, so he would drive the second car, you know, wherever we needed to park it. Thank God. And so he was sleep in the other car, and me and my daughter was in the other car. And then on the second night, the weather was getting bad, and so I was saying, like, maybe I should get us a hotel, but something kept telling me, like, hold on to the little bit that you got left because you may need it. And I was trying to, like, save up, because when I dropped them off at school, I would you know, go work and deliver, you know, make deliveries and stuff while they was at school. So I was trying to save up as much money as I could, and my goal was to save up so that I could get us like one of those extended stays. Like, I was trying to get enough money to put down for the extended stay so that they would have a place, you know, to stay, so that I could go work. And then it wasn't happening fast enough, because, you know, I was worrying about them. And so the next day, when we were getting ready to go to sleep in the car, I just made like a post on my Facebook and said, day 2 of sleeping in the car. You know, I was just kind of like venting for the most part, because I'm like a prideful person, and I really try not to ask for help. But when I do ask for help, it's because I really, really freaking need it. And I wasn't really asking for help. I was just kind of venting to let, you know, people know what I was dealing with. And I'm glad I did, because it turned my situation around, because I didn't know how many people would have actually stepped up and cared about my situation. And you know, like, cause like friends and family that I would have thought would have cared. I'm not saying that they didn't care. It's just, the help wasn't there, you know. I don't know if they didn't realize the seriousness of my situation, but the help wasn't there. And so from this post, I started getting inboxes and phone calls, and you know, people asking me for my my Cash App and Western Union, you know. Just long story short, because I've been on here, it's almost about an hour already. But basically they were like, you know, what do you need and stuff. So people just started paying for, you know, room. Like, they couldn't pay for the room because I had to personally be there. That's how they do things in Atlanta. But they would send me money to be able to put us up somewhere. And by the grace of God, I'm going to kind of close this conversation because I could go on another hour talking about what we went through. But to make a long story short, I was trying to keep it from the school too. You know, I was like, drop them off, and then pick them up, you know, like nothing. But there was like a few days because we had ended up, a friend of a friend had ended up helping us and saying we could stay with them. And I hesitated on that for like the first week that they offered. But then the second week, because this situation went on for like, I don't even know, but it was some weeks, like, because it probably happened in September or something, and then October and November we moved. So like a 2-month span of dealing with this. And so we were with her, this person who I did not know had opened her house to us. But it was weird because we felt comfortable, but then we didn't, if that makes sense. So we were trying to leave. It was almost like, I'm not gonna get into that part, but I was saving up as much as I can, and I ended up telling the school my kids have been late or not coming because we're freaking, you know, homeless or whatever, and I'm trying to figure it out. We're staying with someone in another location, so it takes me an hour and something to get to the school. And the guy was like, oh my God, why didn't you tell us? So he said it was this lady who helped, because like that happens to the kids a lot at the school, and I wouldn't even thought until I was going through it myself. And he said that she houses them in like a women's shelter or something, and he said you and your kids together can be there. I'm gonna call her and see if I can, you know, give you her information. So he did that, and I called her, and she said, well, I'll probably have something available within a week, because right now I don't, but I have somebody leaving, blah blah blah. So I had to scuff it out for that week. We were still with the person, but like I said, we weren't it wasn't nothing bad happened, we just weren't comfortable, if that makes sense. Nothing bad happened, we just weren't we just weren't comfortable. And so we scuffed it out, you know. They stayed at school. I worked all day saving up money, and the lady called us and said we could come to the house, and we had our own room with the bathroom, and we basically stayed there. She said you have the room for the month, no expenses. She had only room, like she only had rules for the house, which to me was heaven sent. Like, we didn't care because we weren't going to be no trouble anyways. We just needed to get somewhere where we would feel comfortable. So we had this room and this bathroom that we didn't have to share, you know. And like I said, I appreciate it, because anything is better than nothing when you're in a situation. We made it comfortable for us. You know, I went to like Walmart and bought comforters and sheets and stuff for the room. We made it, like, we cleaned it, we cleaned the bathroom, we made it comfortable as we could, considering the situation. And I just grinded for those 30 days, and she told me when the time was coming for us to leave, that if I needed more time to let her know. You know, she really like hit it off with me for some reason, but I appreciate her and her business that she does. And if I ever get an opportunity to pay it forward in that situation, I will. And if the people who helped me watch this, I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I have not forgotten. You know, I don't keep in touch with everybody because I'm on a mission right now to better my life so that this never happens again. But I will never, ever forget what you did for me. And if I'm ever in a situation to bless, I will. Because there were some people that they didn't just look out for me once. It was some people that was calling and check on me like, are you still good? Do you need anything? I will take care of that for you type of people. And they know who they are. You know, they didn't even want to be known. They just helped. And without asking for nothing in return. And I hope they know how grateful that I am for that. But so basically, I'm gonna close it here because I don't like crying a lot, y'all. But that's basically it. I told her I didn't need any more time because by the grace of God, I saved up enough money. I found me a place in Ohio because I was trying to decide like, okay, I know I don't want to be in Atlanta anymore because it's just so bad for me. And I had just decided, well, you know, my kids will be closer to family. You know, I will be closer to family. I have a grandbaby now. You know, I would be closer to her. So I decided to move to, you know, where I moved to be in that better situation with that. Not for help because like I'm an independent person. I got into a situation, but I am an independent person, and I know I can move anywhere and make it. That was just, Atlanta was just a different, I probably could move back to Atlanta and be okay because I've learned the system there didn't work like other systems, but I don't want to do that. And the last thing I'm gonna say before I close this video is, looking back on all that happened to me that was forcing me out of Atlanta, I feel like I was not supposed to be there. Because when I say a few weeks after we moved out of there, we went into a world pandemic with that coronavirus stuff. And I thought back like, the powers that be works in mysterious ways because they knew me and my kids did not need to be in Atlanta during a pandemic. Because even though I know people there and I have friends there, and I forgot to add one thing too, because even though we were in that shelter, when I was actually getting ready to move, one of my favorite high school friends, she knew we weren't comfortable where we were staying because she know me, and she invited us into her home. But I didn't accept until that last week that I was there because I don't like to invade people's privacy, but she made us feel like we were at home. I love her to death. She opened her home to me, and anytime I come to Atlanta, I'm welcome, you know, there. And she's welcome wherever I am, like anytime she ever needs, and she knows that. But I just want to send a shout out to her because my kids love her, because she is a genuine person. Like, you know how you have people who they'll say they're going to help you, and then either they don't help you or they make it uncomfortable for you while they're helping you. She was not that type of person. She was God sent, and she I will always love her and look out for her for that. And like, she's one of my, you got friends and then you got lifers, and she's one of my lifers. I've known her since high school. And by her doing that, you know, for us, it was just greatly appreciated, and I'll never forget that. But yeah, when she got word, she told us to come on. But as adults, you know, you don't want to invade people's homes, because you don't want to put, you know, people in situations, because opening your home up to people, that's a lot. You know, it's a lot. And, you know, to be that type of person, it takes a real beautiful soul to do that and mean it. But that's basically my story. I apologize for getting choked up. It's just certain things open up some wounds, but I'm good. Everything's okay, and like I said, the Lord works in mysterious ways, because I really feel like the powers that be was trying to push us up out of there. And another thing too, like, I just want to add, like, it was so much craziness going on. My son, he never had a seizure ever in his life, and he had one during this whole episode that we were having, and it probably was stress. You know, it probably was stress, because kids stress too. But that's my time. If you made it to the end and you watched the whole thing, thank you for watching. And my hand's greasy. But if you haven't, because there'll be more story times and there'll be more videos posted soon. I'm going to try to like post more than I do, but I think right now probably once a week, every other week, because I'm still learning how to edit. But before you go, hit that like button if you enjoyed my story. Subscribe to my channel. I love you guys. I thank you all who have subscribed. Spread the love. Share the post if you feel like it will help somebody. And that's my time.